Welcome to Part 8 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Now it's time for us to go back to Grossburg's office because he's got some explaining to do. Why is he accepting anything from Wright? More importantly, what's the deal here? Maybe this should bring something to light about him not being able to defend Maya. Although we do get ourselves a little bit of revenge by clearing our throat while he's in a daze too. So, it looks like, slowly but surely, the cat's coming out of the bag. Grossburg may be a lot more shadier than we at least originally thought. So let's talk to him and find out exactly what the hell's going on. The fact that this guy pretty much lost the painting that he's being blackmailed with triggers the question, why is he being blackmailed in the first place? The thing is, he could not get a wink of sleep because of the fact that he almost allowed Maya to go to jail, basically. And it would have been on his heavy, guilty conscience because he wasn't being able to, help her. So now we're gonna find out why he refused. What do you mean you need more time? Oh, you're gonna explain right now. So let's find out with this entry, Mr. White. And the moment I mentioned that, he got a little bit perturbed. There is something that's bothering me, of course. It's about that painting. We're gonna talk about the painting, but everything else would just lead to a funny conclusion, and I think I'll have to start the conversation over with that. But still, the painting is how you're gonna continue on the dialogue. So it's time for me to find out exactly what's going on. It should be no surprise. And also, if you say you're lovers, you're gonna get some sort of very pathetic excuse. Or should I say, a funny dialogue, but primarily just say he's blackmailing you. So now, we need to find out why he's being blackmailed. And it's at this point that, let's be honest, there's a lot of people that's going to hate Marvin Grossburg for this particular case alone. Despite the fact he redeems himself later on. But as it turns out, aside from Wright living through intimidation, he went there and pretty much saw to the opportunity and has been paying Grossburg for 15 years. No, Grossburg has been paying him for 15 years because of the DL6 incident. And it's that incident where he had a lot of cops and judges on his payroll. That man literally made bank on that incident. Funny thing, there is a reason why all the cops and the judges are pretty much on the take. As Grossburg is about to explain, with all the blackmail he's done, the cycle of blackmail starts with Grossburg. And now, wait, hold on. We just talked about the DL6 incident. And the DL6 incident, which was 15 years ago was practically requesting a spirit medium, for those of you who are just joining, to try to answer the case as to who murdered the person in that incident. And however, the wrong person got figured because of the medium, and as a result, the police called her a fraud, which in turn ruined not just the Koran village, but the Fae clan's reputation, which had negative results in not only trials and tribulation, but justice for all as well. And now, we find out why Grossburg is blackmailed. Finally, I know I've been dancing around this topic, but here we go. The reason why Grossburg was blackmailed, and why all the police, attorneys, prosecutors, judge, and all that, this asshole told Wright. If it wasn't for him, he would not be making bank on every single official in the damn state. Fuck this guy. He literally told basically a blackmailer important police information. And because of that, because he told the police were coming after him because they want to find out who it was that spilled the information to the press. His actions not only ruined the Koran village, but had eventually killed Mia. So in other words, this is also Grossburg's fault as well. I mean, how could he have known? More along the lines of, there's a thing called police confidentiality, and this fool broke it. Now, if it was a closed case, I would have understood, but this isn't. It's still open, and the case is still going on with no answers. Seriously, you're a fucking idiot, Grossburg. So all that's left now, if you had this picture, you could present the picture to Grossburg. But if you don't present it to him. Otherwise, you'll be going back to Faye and Company's building. And what you want to do is examine the shelves. Excuse me. Sorry, I just overreacted because of the fact that Grossburg caused so much trouble. It's just ridiculous. Now then, examine the shelves, and what you want to do, you're going to examine all three sections, because it's kind of plot related. First, examine A to I. Examining A to I would actually, pretty sure it's going to talk about Misty Faye, if you read it. And when you do, it'll find out that Mia knew all along that Marvin Grossburg ruined her family. And the only reason Marvin Grossburg tried to clear Misty Faye's name was because of the fact he practically owed it to Mia, since Mia was his subordinate. And Mia was about to reveal who the parasite was that was leeching off of basically the misery of the Fae clan. But then we go to J through S, and this one's the most important one. If you skim through it, you'll end up finding a newspaper clipping. And that newspaper clipping is going to come in handy. Sadly, not in the trial. So on that note, you'll end up finding the word white on all of these suicide cases. And seeing as how Red White pretty much drove a majority of these guys involved in DL6 to suicide, yeah, Red White's kind of an asshole. Not kind of, he is an asshole. And then we get the newspaper clippings, which will be used for later. Now, if you want to try to get through one more shelf, by all means do so. The next shelf definitely is going to be important, sort of, because if you look through T through Z, you know file W is gone. The entire W section was taken, which means Red White, while he was murdering Mia, took all the files on him out of Faye & Company. So on that note, time to go back to Blue Corp and confront this douche one last time. And just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to try to at least talk to Red White, it's not going to do you any good. He's just going to dance around the subject just like April May did earlier. So in other words, in order for you to actually do some damage to him, you're going to have to present the clippings. But in case you're not convinced that you're not going to get anything out of this guy, if you talk to him about anything, he, again, is going to dance around the subject. And be an asshole about it. So, let's present him, much to my dismay, the newspaper clip. And sorry about that, there was something in my nose. So on that note, present. And unfortunately, that's the worst mistake we probably would have done. We kind of had no choice. It is another but thou must situation. I mean, you can still go back and examine before you do this, but it's not going to make any difference. In order to progress the plot, you'll have to show that newspaper clip off. And Red White will finally reveal his true colors. Even though you literally told him in his face what he's done and came out with proof, you're about to find out firsthand how powerful this guy really is. Which is probably why he got Mia completely killed. And this guy right here, he's basically trying to dance around the subject and tried to get Phoenix Wright to be sent away. Now, it doesn't matter what you answer. At the end of the day, you are going to have to be escorted out the hard way. And once again, after Phoenix was told this man has all of the police and law enforcement on his payroll, he still decides to try to use evidence against Red White. Unfortunately for him, we're gonna end up having to run into some serious problems. You see, Red White just called the public prosecutor's office. Why is that a problem? He's actually going to testify. Now, that would sound like a good thing. Despite the fact that he refused to testify and made sure that the prosecutors did not call him up as a witness. And he's going to try his best to make sure that the public prosecutor knows who is in charge of who. Unfortunately, this good thing comes with a bad thing. he is framing you, literally, for the murder that he caused. Yes, that's right. You are now in the hot seat. Despite the fact that there's evidence against Red White that he obviously did it, all of the law enforcement is under his beck and call, and Red White just pretty much sicked them on Phoenix Wright. Jesus Christ. You went from trying to find out who the murderer is to now having to try to prove that you're not the murderer. And worse, he's going to try to send a lawyer that's too incompetent for you to even call a lawyer, and you'll lose automatically. Meaning, Red White literally had Phoenix in checkmate. Or so one would think. But unfortunately, things just gets even worse than that. Now you're no longer fighting for Maya, because Maya has now been freed as the killer. She's no longer the killer. She's free to go. Unfortunately for Phoenix, he's the one that's going to jail. Jesus Christ. This is a double blind that came out of nowhere. Well, since this trial first started, things went completely downhill. It went from Maya being proven guilty without a reasonable doubt, to her being almost proven innocent, to Phoenix almost being proven guilty without a reasonable doubt. Jesus Christ. So in other words, Phoenix is going to have to defend himself. He is literally alone, with no one there to help him. Man, this case, I tell you. But you had no choice but to give the newspaper the Red White in order for it to continue the case. And that's why this case gets on my goddamn nerves. So many moments where Phoenix Wright could actually get this guy and finally bring him to justice. You can't. Oh, by the way, it doesn't matter what you pick. There's always a funny response. Just pick whatever you want. So on that note, we're gonna finally put an end to this part. Well, before we actually tell Maya that this is a joke. I mean, anything you tell Maya is gonna be a joke. The fact that Maya's willing to put on a cheerleading outfit, I don't think cheerleading outfit's appropriate for court. So in other words, Maya's gonna be in the defense seat from now on, in order for us to actually, hopefully, get off this thing scot-free and find the real killer. Well, there is one thing I can say. While Red White may have the advantage, he also arrogantly put himself in the disadvantage. After all, he actually left behind evidence, so that's the only thing that helps us. But, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, from this case forward, everything's going to be solved within 3 days. Thanks to us being, well, on trial for murder, even though we're the ones trying to find the murderer, well, we're about to go into day 3. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is RP-Man 985, part 9 and 10 will more than likely wrap up Turnabout Sisters. In the worst possible way. More hand-holding. I hate this case.